my name is Ella. I live in London in the UK, and at the moment I'm a yoga teacher and soon to be trainee acupuncturist. Because I don't feel that there is anything from my past that set me up in a particular way to make the choice that I did a year ago to create this self-curated MBA. In fact, it felt like a huge leap of faith and leap of confidence from a life of a whole bunch of different decision making and choices. So I wouldn't say that there's a pattern or something that happened before, unless, of course, you want to talk about being able to now see in hindsight the fact that for a long time I was on a path that was giving me pain, and that now informs my choices to know when I'm going forward that I don't want to go back there. I grew up all over the world. I count myself very much as a global citizen. Only came back to the UK for secondary school and had a phenomenal education. Went on to study geography at university, one of the best universities here in the UK. And I think that academically, my life was almost unbeknownst to me set up as part of a whole bunch of systems that created an awful lot of pressure. I headed off to Oxford University thinking that this was meant to be the best place ever. And I would say that that was probably the start of a tipping point from always feeling very comfortable and confident in my own abilities to suddenly feeling out of my depth and unsure of who I was and what I wanted to be doing. And I can see now that the way that I was being taught at university did not allow for any creative thinking, that I was feeling stifled, but I didn't understand it in that context. And it pushed me actually into quite a dark place. And I started to suffer from depression. After a year of searching, trying to get jobs on graduate training programs, never quite making the mark, I landed up meeting a very inspirational woman who founded a social enterprise called Leaders Quest. And that then became my journey from an intern into full-time employment. And I was there for 5.5 years. Their mission really, really resonated with me at a very deep level. Again, something that I wasn't aware of at the time. But I was naive and younger and less wise, and I still couldn't let go of the fact that I wasn't in a big multinational corporation going through graduate training, etc., etc. I knew that I wasn't earning very much. I was constantly looking at all of my friends and thinking that what they were doing was maybe the training I needed. And so I never was able to fully settle into my role at the social enterprise I was working for. Yet still, I couldn't let go of the fact that I kept on thinking, oh, I'm meant to be in business. I've been told by so many people I'd make an excellent management consultant. I'd been thinking for years about going to do an MBA. And so I thought, right, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to take the GMAT exam, and business school is where I need to go. I worked hard. I'm terrible at maths. I didn't pass the verbal reasoning and the maths and all those other tests however many years ago when I came out of university, and yet here I was still trying to push myself through this. And a week before I took my GMAT exam, so that was in January last year, I met up with a good friend and mentor, and we were meant to be discussing what my passion is, because he had come for dinner previously and I had said that I always struggled with that question, that I recoiled whenever anyone asked me. In fact, I would go so far as to say that I hated the word passion. And he said, right, I can fix this. We're creatively going to look at why you struggle with that. And on that day, I tipped up for coffee with him and burst into tears. And he said, okay, we can't look at passion. Let's look at what's going on here. And he helped me to see in that moment that, this is putting it very simply, but that I had a real fear of failure. But I had never cognitively realized that what I was doing was just being very, very scared to say to myself that I didn't want to pursue this path anymore, that I had not only myself created a world around me that was pushing me in that way, but actually the very systems that are in place from my culture, my family, my education, etc., were all guiding me with a bunch of shoulds. And I kind of had a pretty big aha moment where it was like, oh my God, I'm taking this exam next week, but I know I'm not going to pass it with the right grades to get me where I want to go. I'm going to be truthful about that. And actually, I don't want to go to business school anyway. And I then went off, and it was the most amazing thing. A week before a massive exam, I was like walking around as if I was on cloud nine, because I think finally I recognized what it meant to not be scared, not be afraid, step into a different place, really, really listen to my body, to my intuition, etc. After making that choice of I'm not going to go and pursue business school, I went through again a pretty dark time, because for a few weeks it was like I'd gone from cloud nine of great, I'm not doing that, but I still have no idea what I'm doing and where am I going to go with that. And I think I really needed to be in that. You know, there's a process where you have to kind of get to your lowest point of the you to come back up again. You need to let go in order to let come. And I definitely was a bit of a nightmare to live with, and slowly came to realize that taking on another job in terms of a 9 to 5 was not going to be the right thing to do, because actually I needed to find that place of authenticity within myself before I could make a genuine decision about what the next step in my career was going to be. Wow.